Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see exactly how a modern website gets built, piece by powerful piece.
You ever just stare at a blank page and wonder, how does that turn into a fully functional, professional-looking website? Well, the secret isn't one giant, scary piece of code. It's actually more like assembling a project with a set of simple, yet really powerful building blocks.
Okay, so our very first building block is the blueprint. For any website, that means starting with a special language called semantic HTML. This is what creates a strong, logical foundation for everything else we're about to add on top.
Now, these tags are way more than just containers. They're like descriptive labels. A header tag tells the browser, hey, this is the banner at the top. An article says, this is a self-contained piece of content. This kind of organization is absolutely crucial. It helps search engines understand your site, and it lets tools like screen readers navigate the page for users with visual impairments.
So before we add any of the style, any of the fancy design stuff, this is what our blueprint looks like in the browser. Yeah, it's literally just a stack. Everything is piled on top of everything else, from top to bottom. It works, technically, but it's not exactly the beautiful layout we're going for.
And that brings us to our very first design problem. We've got all our content sections in one long vertical line. So how do we break them out of that default flow and get them to sit nicely next to each other?
And here is a classic and really clever solution from CSS. With just one simple property, a command that changes how things look, we can use float left. This basically tells each section, stop stacking, scoot over to the left, and let the next thing line up beside you. And just like that, we've created a basic column layout.
All right, our basic page structure is in place. Now we need to build a way for people to actually get around the site. So let's tackle our next building block, the navigation bar.
You might not believe this, but most awesome navigation bars start out their life as a simple, boring, bulleted list. But by just getting rid of those bullet points and using that exact same float left property we just learned, we can completely transform it into the clean horizontal bar that we're all used to seeing.
But a truly great nav bar needs to give you feedback. That's where the hover effect comes in. It changes the background color when your mouse passes over a link. This is a super clear visual cue that tells the user, hey, this thing is clickable and you're about to go here. It's a small detail that makes a huge difference.
So our website has a skeleton and a navigation system. Now, let's give it some personality. Our next building block is all about showing off some cool visual content.
Each and every picture in our gallery is its own little self-contained module, and it's built with these 4 simple steps. You've got a container, the image itself, a link so you can click on it, and a little description. It's just a neat, repeatable package you can use for every single photo.
Now, to get all these gallery items to line up side by side, we use a different CSS property this time, display inline block. This one is fantastic because it lets the items flow horizontally, almost like words in a sentence, but it still gives us total control over their width, height, and spacing.
We've added some simple hover effects, which is cool, but we can take our interactivity to the next level. Let's build a more complex block, the drop-down menu. It really does feel like magic, right? You move your mouse and poof, a whole menu just appears out of thin air. Well, it's not magic, it's just a really clever trick that uses 2 different states, and it's all handled with CSS. So here's state number 1, the hidden state. The drop-down menu content is always there in the HTML code, but we use a CSS rule, display none, to hide it. Now, this doesn't just make it invisible, it completely removes it from the page layout. It's like it doesn't even exist. And then we have state 2. This CSS rule is the trigger. It basically says when a user hovers over the drop-down button, find the content inside it, and switches display property to block. And just like that, it becomes visible again, appearing right where it's supposed to be. It's a simple but powerful on-off switch.
So, our layout looks amazing on a big desktop screen. But what happens when someone visits our site on their phone? This is where our final and maybe most important building block comes in, responsive design.
A modern website has to be a chameleon. On a wide desktop, it can use a multi-column layout to fill up all that space. But on a narrow mobile screen, that same content needs to intelligently reflow into a single, easy-to-scroll column. We're not building 2 different websites. We're building one smart one.
And this right here, this single line of code, is the master key that makes it all happen. It's called a media query, and it unlocks the entire world of responsive design. This code sets up a checkpoint. The browser is constantly asking, is the screen 600 pixels wide or less? If it's wider, nothing happens. But the moment it shrinks below that point, it triggers a new set of styles. For our layout, we just tell the columns to stop floating and instead tick up 100% of the width. This forces them to stack vertically, which automatically creates a perfect mobile-friendly view.
So let's recap what we've just put together. We've got a powerful little toolkit of core web design building blocks. We have semantic HTML for a solid foundation, float for our layouts, hover for all that great interaction, the display property for dynamic elements, and media queries to make it all look fantastic on any device.
These fundamental blocks are the foundation of nearly every single professional website you use. So now that you have the toolkit, the real question is, what will you build? For more explainers that break down the digital world, please subscribe to my channel.